As long as Disney's not having two characters using a and in the first 30 minutes of Lightyear, I could give two. There's no serious conversation.
I heard they made that scene, but they cut it out.
Yeah, well, they need to put it back in there. Rule 34 applies. Welcome to A Cast with No Name. We are your hosts. I'm Jay.
And I'm Matt.
This is episode 11, Monday, June 27th, 2022. This episode, we will fight to the death debating which is the best Toy Story movie, Toy Story or Toy Story 3. We will also discuss the Obi-Wan Kenobi limited series, Jurassic World Dominion, and more. But first, don't forget to visit our new website, acastwithnoname.com. You can comment on episodes or write to our email. Comment on our episodes at castwithnoname.com or shoot us an email at contact.acastwithnoname@gmail.com. Email is also found on our website, acastwithnoname.com. And in case you forget the website, it is
acastwithnoname.com.
.com.
Yes.
And shout out to Mark S.
Yes, Mark.
Our first and only commenter. Trying to get the conversation started.
That boy, Mark.
And
we
appreciate
Mark.
it. Appreciate you listening and keep listening. Let us know what you want to hear our opinions on or whatever.
And I don't hold it against Mark for actually agreeing with Jay on his comment there. That's fine.
Yeah, well,
whatever. To each his own.
Yeah, it's a better movie. So change the world.
Mm-hmm.
So, but recent news. Top Gun.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Cruise officially made the $1 billion club.
That's hard to believe.
With that it was Top Gun or that it was the first time he had
$1 billion worldwide. That was weird. I didn't even realize that. I thought one of the Mission Impossibles reached $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, maybe taking in inflation considering inflation. Maybe, but yeah. But no, good for him. The only sad thing is all the movie studios will take all the wrong lessons from this.
We talked about that.
And it will just churn out more crap.
Just a giant pile of turds.
And sadly also, they're going to make another Top Gun movie.
You're right. They are. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah. With or without Tom Cruise, I think they're just going to make another one.
They will. It'll make at least half of $1 billion, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I can see if they, I don't know. It depends how they do the flying scenes.
Yeah.
Because I can see a studio just saying, nope, just do CG. And
well, that's what a studio exec is they're going to ride the wave,
mm-hmm.
right? Just like we were talking about Jurassic Park here. You'll just ride the wave a little bit. You don't need to make $1 billion on the next one, right?
No, you need to, or else someone's getting fired.
Well, yes. Well, you can cut the production cost down a little bit.
Well, that's what I think they'll do is they're going to make another one.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise will probably say, no, I'm not doing it. Who knows? Maybe he says yes. But if he says, no, I'm not going to do it, then that's when they're going to cut the production down to where, oh, well, Tom Cruise isn't in it. So it doesn't have that star power. So we're going to have to cut our costs. Where are we going to cut our costs? Well, we're not going to be spending $12,000 an hour flying
an
real
F-18 or whatever
F-18s anymore. Mm-hmm. It's going to be computer animation. And then it just sucks from there.
That does sound awful.
So that's my fortune.
Well, at least we got Top Gun Maverick.
Hey, that works.
It's still even after seeing Jurassic Park Dominion, this is my favorite movie of 2022 so far.
I hope Avatar is good. I mean, the first one I'm indifferent about, other than the visuals, but it would be kind of funny that Avatar doesn't beat Top Gun, that the number one grossing movie of 2022 is Top Gun.
I think James Cameron might implode a little bit. His head might explode.
A little bit. He would.
I mean, it's what, 13 years now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's got 4 movies writing on this, or however many that he's doing.
Yeah. Well, I know that Top Gun wasn't released in China or Russia. And I think there was another market it wasn't released in. Mm-hmm. That's like 300 million right there. Just not seen.
And it was still able to reach $1 billion.
Yeah. And I think Avatar was going to get released in China, so they'll have it. They'll make it. It'll make $1 billion. Yeah.
So,
But I am excited that it is doing so well.
Yeah. I'm happy people are going to see it, and it's another testament that theaters aren't dead.
Yes.
Some movies
you have to go see it.
You got to see it.
Yeah. And none of this, during the pandemic era bullshit. We've already had Spider-Man No Way Home that made $1 gazillion. It's the third highest grossing movie of all time, and not Top Gun. And even Doctor Strange, I think, is close to making $1 billion. So that argument is kind of out the window now.
Yeah. And I think Top Gun's reach to $1 billion was probably least expected out of a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
Especially because that movie was shelved for 2 years, and a lot of times when movies are shelved for 2 years, it's dated. You can feel it's dated. Something's just not working, and just because it's out of that, it was made for that point in time. But the fact that it still does so well 2 years after, I think is just a testament to the story, the characters, and the way the movie was made. Because I think it will be a fairly timeless movie.
I agree.
And we'll probably have some legs on it for at least the next decade.
Yeah, it's actually still has legs right now. I think it finished second in the box office this past weekend with the new Elvis that just came out, and Lightyear's still out there. Jurassic Park is still out there.
Yep.
So it has legs, and I'm happy that a movie that good is doing so well.
And I have a feeling it'll probably make quite a bit this coming weekend with July 4th weekend and everything else. So
yeah,
because America,
celebrate the independence.
But yeah, it's good to see a movie reach 1 billion. That's not a Marvel movie
or Transformers,
or Star Wars, or Transformers, and so even though it is a franchise movie, it's not. It's not like there's comic books out of Top Gun and TV shows and everything else, but there was a TV show, I think, or a couple
was
of video. I don't know. I think I'm getting video games
mixed up.
Anyways,
yeah.
What have you seen recently?
I did see Jurassic Park.
Jurassic World.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
See Dominion.
Well, it's Jurassic World Dumb-inion.
A punch.
I thought of that for 2 weeks.
So I haven't seen it.
It is what you think it would be. I would describe it as it's just Transformers now at this point. The plot doesn't matter. The characters don't matter. It's just
big dinosaurs going raw.
Big robots, big dinosaurs. You get the typical beats of any other Jurassic Park movie that you saw before. There's always it's a big corporation that's out to destroy the low hanging, low wage worker, to destroy the everyday man. The first one, it was corporate greed for amusement parks. The second one's the military industrial complex. And this one is Big Pharma.
Really?
Yeah.
So, all right. So what?
It's Big Pharma, Jay.
What? I just thought it was going to be a love story between Chris Pratt's character and Blue.
It's
the fucking raptor.
The sex scene was pretty intense.
Was it?
Oh, yeah.
Well, in a single sex environment, frogs have been known to change sexes.
That's true.
I learned that from Dr. Alan Grant, the first
That's
movie.
right. Jeff Goldblum is a man of many wise thoughts.
Yeah. So, but life finds a way.
It always does, especially in this movie.
Awesome.
Trash finds a way.
So
the garbage.
So how's Big Pharma?
So it's Locust, Jay. So Steve Jobs, I can't remember his name. He's just the CEO of this company. I can't remember.
Engine?
No, it's Biosyn.
Okay.
Biosyn. Get it? Biosyn. But it's spelled SYN.
Oh.
Yeah. So Steve Jobs decides to biologically engineer locusts to eat crops that aren't planted from Biosyn seeds.
Okay.
You see where this is going?
A little bit. Go ahead.
They use dinosaur DNA, and how that makes it into locust, I have no idea. Doesn't matter, right? It's a movie.
Yeah.
They use the dino DNA, the genetic blueprint mapping on how they combine frog DNA. They do that with regular locusts to make like a super locust.
Of course.
To genetically engineer it to only eat crops that aren't planted with Biosyn seeds. Yep.
Hmm.
That's what we're going with there.
Well, if I was going to do that and do that much work, I think I would just create a plant strain that could only be fed by certain chemicals or certain types of water, and then I would just go from
right.
If I wanted to create a consumable market business.
Or why wouldn't you biologically synthesize a seed that didn't require chemicals and just dominate the market?
Yep. No, you got to waste that ingenuity.
It's so dumb.
Super locusts.
It's so dumb. So yeah, the super locust. And another thing about this movie that's just infuriating is I thought when I went to go in, okay, we're gonna travel the world. It's the dinosaurs are now everywhere in the world. You're gonna see them in like cities and the rural area, urban area, suburbia, all that stuff.
Is humanity trying to deal with this?
Cope with it.
Yeah.
They touch on that for 10 minutes. There's a scene in like Malta somewhere.
Yeah.
And then it's in like the preservatory. The rest of the movie, like 80% of it is in this like preservatory that Steve Jobs and Biosyn have to house all like dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a sanctuary.
Okay. So like another park?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So they're not as out in the world as what
the movie. Well, they are, but the movie doesn't care about that.
Oh,
we care about
that'd be too interesting.
Exactly.
Writing's hard.
It's so hard. That's the movie. It's in one setting location, kind of like a park, or in the second one was in a mansion.
Yeah.
This one's in a sanctuary. And I mean, I don't even know what else. I mean, the Alan Grant comes back and Lauren Dern and Jeff Goldblum, all their characters come back. They have nothing to do. Like they could be.
Are they major parts of the movie?
No, not even close.
Okay.
I mean, they're like Bryce Dallas Howard and Laura Dern go off on a little quest to restore the power because the breakers flipped. So
go like the first movie
like
where she had to go and Did Samuel L. Jackson's other arm show up, or did Samuel L. Jackson?
I was waiting for an arm. I was so waiting for someone's arm, but it didn't show up.
It would have been great if Samuel L. Jackson just showed up without an arm. It was like, hold on to your butts,
exactly,
and then flips the breaker.
Yeah, and they did do one callback though. The CEO, remember the scene in the first Jurassic Park where Wayne Newton's character goes to meet that dude in like Puerto Rico? He's like, Dobbs, we got Dachshund. We got Dachshund here.
See, nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Dachshund is the CEO.
Oh, okay.
Because he has the Barbasol can.
Yep. Wait. How did he get the Barbasol can? It got covered in mud in the first one. Like they were going to reference it in the sequel, and they never did.
Well, Dobson had like a prototype that he gave to Wayne Newton, so we're supposed to, or maybe not. See, this is why you're right. You're filling the holes in here. How did he get that one? Because it was all like muddied up, and
he did not go to the island.
He didn't, did he?
And hire a detective.
I blacked out, Jay. I didn't even think about that. That's a good point. It's so dumb. So dumb.
The flaws in this movie is ridiculous. I haven't even seen it yet. I'm angry by it.
So all those characters, they could have been left out and the story would have been the same. Chris Pratt checked out.
Oh, I'm sure.
He just doesn't give a fuck in this movie at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. The emotional scenes are just like, it seemed like a stage play in high school.
Yeah.
Where some guy was just forced to do it because they needed a warm body to like. That's what Chris Pratt felt like a little bit. Just didn't want to be there. Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people in that movie saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah, and I get tired of like just the hand up to control the dinosaurs. They do that.
Oh, geez.
Just put your hand up here.
It's like
the Force.
It's like John Wick in the fourth Matrix movie. He just does that little force push thing that he does, and
yeah. So they do that a lot in the movie. It was just stupid. My kids liked it. They enjoyed the dinosaurs and all that stuff. And actually the towards the end of the movie where they're getting attacked by the new, I can't even remember the new dinosaur, like the largest dinosaur in recorded history. It's like gigantic.
Why do you turn into a southern raspy Indiana Jones when
That's my preview voice to make me sound more interesting.
You sound like a mix between, oh God, Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder and a Southern gentleman sitting on the veranda having a sarsaparilla.
Sarsaparilla with molasses spilling out of my mouth. Yeah, and what was I talking about?
I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Shit
yeah,
movie.
the Gigantocoloptosaurus, whatever the fuck it was called.
How long do you think it takes before they reboot the whole fucking thing? You think they're gonna make any more?
Oh yeah, give it 5 years maybe. It's already making a lot of money.
It's depressing. Well, that and Universal redid their theme park with the new Jurassic World shit.
I was just gonna say that towards the third act with the Gigantocolopta enorma giant Ginosaurus.
A lot of Vaginosaurus. Yep, got you. Following you.
They go around this tower and like there's a lot of shots of like the dinosaur chopping at the camera, and I'm like, am I on like a Universal
Yeah, it's the new
fucking
ride. Yeah, it's the new ride.
Yeah, I'm on the Universal ride right now. Yeah, and then the movie ends. You know.
Yeah. Is it left open? Like, what's the cheesy shit that they left it open, or did they actually conclude it? Like,
don't
black screen and it says the end. We swear to God, this is all we got.
So they give Blue back her baby dinosaur.
I can give two fucks about
and
that.
And then I think it just ends with her like cawing at the sky. Exactly, something like that. There was a final battle with the Gigantoloptosaurus and the T-Rex.
Oh,
as they're getting away.
Same
like
T-Rex or different T-Rex?
I don't know. Probably. And then there was like another like, I don't know, this velociraptor bird with long claws that was helping out the T-Rex destroy a lot of Vaginosaurus.
I think
it's
not having seen
art.
it. I think they probably should have kept more of that movie of humans trying to live with the dinosaurs, trying to figure out how to have that kind of and it could have been a like a Roland Emmerich movie to where it's just an end of the world scenario and you're trying to survive as long as you can, and then but you could have something to where you're either following Chris Pratt's character or because they have a daughter, they have that half clone,
clone daughter,
so they could be like huddled up in a cave and it's like the last ditch effort, like everything's just been decimated, and the movie could span like a couple of years or like maybe 5 years or something, and then you get that last shot of them like huddling as a family. You get that emotional beat, and then right before they get attacked, then you have Ian Malcolm come out and say, "I fucking told you so," and then they all die, and then boom, into credits, and it would have been, I think, probably a lot more meaningful than what they
way more interesting
did.
Oh, and actually the clone wasn't a clone. Her mom, the scientist, and this is someone we've never met before in the entire series, actually I guess injected herself with,
she fucked herself.
Yeah, she scientifically engineered a way to grow a baby within her own womb without the need of
she reproduced by masturbation.
Yes. Self-masturbation makes a baby. And I don't really remember why she did it. There was a reason why she did it, because she was trying to cure cancer. I don't know. I forget. I blacked out. Like I said, I did fall asleep a little bit.
Okay.
My kids were with me. They had candy, and they like the dinosaur stuff. And
well,
they were
they're
entertained.
at that age.
Yeah.
When they get older, they'll realize it's dog shit, and then they'll just watch the first one, and hopefully that'll be.
This is more scary and
have they seen the first one?
They have.
They like it.
The Velociraptor scene in particular, Lincoln is very afraid of that scene because it is pretty scary.
I saw it when I was 10 and I thought it was very scary.
Oh yeah. Yeah, 4-year-old is fucking petrified.
Pretty sure I had a nightmare or two after that kitchen scene, which I think is the best part of that whole movie.
It is. It's very good.
Well,
he doesn't like the T-Rex scene either. Like when the very first T-Rex scene, it's like, that's a pretty intense scene.
Oh yeah, with the storm and the flares and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good scene too.
It's just a dumb movie.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Fucking used to be. Can't leave well enough alone.
No, you can't. But I give it 5 years. They'll reboot the whole thing. They might do a remake. They might just remake it. Probably.
If they remade it and made it closer to the book, I think that'd be pretty cool. Because the book is kind of darker than what the first movie was.
Oh, really?
Like,
I've never read the book.
Hammond is a dick.
Oh, he's not a nice old jolly
Santa he gives
grandpa?
two shits about his grandkids.
Oh, really?
Like, he's just he's a businessman and a stereotypical businessman. And
he's like, what's his face from It's a Wonderful Life?
oh,
Mr. Potter.
Oh, here, Potter, you can't do that to these people. They have homes. Yeah, it's like a little bit like Potter. It's just like very financially oriented. And he's just not a very nice person.
Right. All that matters are the shareholders.
I can't do it.
I'm not getting you a teddy bear, you goddamn leech.
Where are my damn grandkids? But no, the book is a little bit it's different enough to where if they remade it and actually had followed the book, it'd be interesting.
Okay.
An interesting take to it. You still have some of that are scientists responsible for that kind of technology? Should they be playing with that kind of technology kind of thing? But yeah, I mean, I think if they actually remade the book and kept more of the stuff in the book in there, it would it'd be different enough to where I think it'd be interesting to watch.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think that this would have been more interesting if they would have delved more into, okay, dinosaurs are amongst us now. How do we live with that?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not all hunky dory. There's a lot of scenes at the end of the movie. That's how it ended. Scenes at the end of the movie with like you're in sub-Saharan Africa and there's lions and elephants and then there's like a brachiosaurus that's with them. Then there's whales in the ocean and then that giant sea dinosaur, the giant one that is swimming with them and harmony.
Yeah,
and
harmony.
Then there's velociraptors and horses and like North Dakota just grazing the plains together.
I'm sure most mammals are going to become extinct because they just fucking eat them.
Yes, exactly. Or that they eat people.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people. So they could have delved into that. Like, this is not as hunky dory as we thought it would be. You can't live, harmoniously with.
There's a reason why things become extinct. And
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then coming to that choice. Okay. Well, how are we going to resolve this? Do we kill them all off? What do we do? This is a problem. Kind of have that be the plot.
You fucking kill them. Just.
Right.
They're all clones. When it gets down to it, they are manufactured.
Exactly.
Just kill them.
Yep.
Anyways, but what else did you see?
Oh, I saw a couple documentaries because I was in the mood. One of my favorite, I've seen it before, but I watched it again and I liked it more the second time, was Won't You Be My Neighbor? It's a great movie.
Yeah, Christy and I saw that. I think it was like shortly after it came out. We watched it before we watched the Tom Hanks.
I think that was Won't You Be My Neighbor? I think it's titled the same.
Was it? I don't remember. But we saw the documentary before we saw the Tom Hanks movie. And I know I saw it the year it came out because I was hoping it would get, I think it got nominated for an Oscar for Best Documentary, but it didn't win.
I never saw the movie though.
Oh, you never saw the Tom Hanks movie?
Never saw that.
The documentary's better.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, the movie is pretty much kind of, it takes part of the documentary and makes a narrative out of it.
Okay. All right.
So, but yeah. So second time you saw it?
Yeah. It's nice to watch something where it's just nice and hopeful and he's just the nicest guy in the world and he had the best intentions and he was just wholesome and just just had the best intentions of doing something good with his life.
Just a nice good person. And because I remember when it came out, I was hesitant of watching it just because you're in the middle of this whole trend of documentaries coming out of people that you grew up liking. And then, oh yeah, you grew up liking this person and here's why they're a piece of shit. And I was hesitant because I didn't know what direction it was until I read a review to where, hey, it doesn't do that.
Yeah.
And
another thing I liked about it, I love the scene where they go when he goes to Congress to ask for 20 million for PBS, and there's this grouchy senator who doesn't want to fund PBS, and just this whole retort to that senator, and he's just sitting there listening, and it's like, wow, it looks like you got your $20 million, and like in today's political environment, that would never happen. So it was just refreshing to see something like that take place
when common sense prevails.
Yes.
And,
it was just nice.
Yep. He was a good man. His shit still works.
Oh yeah. We watched some Daniel Tiger.
Yeah.
Oh
well,
yeah.
that and my oldest will.
Oh, likes the old one.
Yeah. I mean, she likes Daniel Tiger, and she also likes
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Yeah, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. To where she'll, because they have a select episodes on PBS Kids that she's able to watch.
Yeah.
And but yeah, like she does not like live action except
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers, and I'm like, yeah, that's all right.
Yeah,
watch that as much as you want.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it is nice that they made a documentary about him. I wanted it to win Best Documentary because usually Best Documentary and Oscars are like some sad bastard, world's ending, humans are a piece of shit kind of a thing, and
something ugly about war or drugs or whatever. Yeah,
beautiful human being.
He is.
The what other?
And I watched Menudo, Siempre Joven, which means forever young in Spanish.
Oh,
so if you don't know Menudo, it was a Puerto Rican boy band. Started in like the 70s, and the whole the business model, that's a good way to say it. It's a business model. Was how do we get past the fact that these people are going to get older and they won't appeal to our market anymore? What hasn't been done before? Well, how can we solve that? And they came up with, okay, once you reach like the age of 16, we're going to cut you out. We're going to rotate you in. That's what they did. So over the years, it was just rotating people out. It was a story of how they, toured Latin America. They got big. They eventually got to America, all that stuff. Typical thing like that you've seen before. It was interesting for the first episode. It's 4 parts. I got through the first one. I'm watching the second one, and I'm just like, this is so boring now because it's the same thing over and over, and it's the same song and dances you've heard before.
What, as they rotate people out, or just the?
No, it's like, okay, you're successful, then you get into drugs, and then it's like, my parents left me with some skeezy businessman as like my caretaker, and he didn't care about it. It's like, what the fuck were you? Duh.
Yeah.
No shit. This is the same thing over. It's like I've heard this story before. It's like watching Jurassic Park Dominion. It's the same thing over and over again. And this what tipped it over the edge to me was the whole time I'm thinking like, yeah, I mean, they could have treated you a little bit better, but you were still singing and dancing to crowds and making pretty good money. I mean, yeah, they fucked him over a little bit on the contracts, but they were still making a living, pretty good money. This guy, I can't remember his name of the band, but he was 16, and they went to the Grammys. They were presenting an award for like best pop album or whatever. And it happened to be the year that Thriller came out that won everything. And he was told before the Grammy Awards that you've been replaced without notice. And that was the year that Michael Jackson won best pop album. And one of my heroes came up to be presented the award by us, and I wasn't there. And then there's this long pause, and he starts crying, and he owes that to me.
What?
He owes that.
So he said that he didn't present an award
to Michael Jackson. That was supposed to be the emotional like punch to the audience to feel sorry for this guy.
Yeah.
I was just
see,
I
some
can't
of that
do this
stuff,
anymore.
I mean, it's
I can't
kind of,
watch this.
Yeah, and that's the tough thing as far as documentaries, and that's why I think a lot of documentaries change course halfway through filming, because one, some documentaries you go out and you're like, okay, we're going to capture this story or whatever, and then sometimes if they're lucky, they get veered off course to, oh, here's a more interesting story. And that's what makes memorable documentaries, is when they can find that other, oh, this is what we should be making a movie about. However, then you have 4-part series, it sounds like, to where there's really no drama. They're like, it's fucked over. Yeah, welcome to everybody else who's had a job.
Right.
And
yeah, well, what hit it for me, Jay, was before then they were talking about like, almost overdosing on drugs, and how they were working like 80-hour work weeks, and they would barely be able to eat, and they weren't spending time with their families, and they were being mistreated. But what tipped this guy over the edge was that he couldn't present Michael Jackson an award, and that's what made him break down and cry.
Yeah, it puts everything in perspective.
I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
I was just like, all right, whatever. And I stopped watching.
Yeah. I mean, I could see if they made like an allegory to like indentured servitude or something like that, to where we weren't kids, we were cattle pretty much, to where, or like dancing monkeys that we had to go out and perform every day and everything else. And
Yep.
didn't have a childhood, which, I mean, kids in the entertainment business, I'm sure a lot of them have felt that way
It's
at one
probably.
point or another.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah, and they were talking about in the 90s, some members, there's very self-aggrandizing, way too into themselves a little bit. Like, oh, we were starting a revolution. We were starting a revolution. So I YouTube some of their
With their
performances. Yeah, so I YouTube. I'm like, really? I don't remember this being a revolution. So then I YouTube some of their performances. Oh my God. It reminded me of like like a high school, middle school talent show.
Okay.
The dancing was okay. You could tell they practiced and they choreographed and all that stuff. And the songs were just,
have you been watching The Boys?
yeah.
When you said starting a revolution, it reminded me of was it Supersonic when he was in that boy band and he had to sing that the Sweet 16 song or something.
Yep, that's about right. But, yeah, I mean it's just shit music, and I get it. There's a time and a place. I mean, we all liked shit music when we were younger, and especially for boy band music. It's not it's not Beethoven.
And you said it started in the 70s,
late 70s, yeah,
late 70s. See, that's interesting to me. Just not enough making me want to watch it, but I always thought, just from my own knowledge of pop culture, I thought New Kids on the Block was like the first boy band.
Oh.
And because I try to think back, I'm like, is there another manufactured band? Of course, I never listened to Menudo. It wasn't I mean, I wasn't exposed to it as a child, so I never listened to it. But
they delved into that a little bit.
Oh,
because they thought they were going to take off, and then New Kids on the Block kind of took over, and then a couple of years later, Boys to Men just like took over the planet and all that stuff, and then obviously NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. But yeah, I'm trying to think of earlier boy bands. I don't think Menudo was the first boy. Like Jackson 5 was before Menudo.
Yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't say that's. I don't put that in the same degree. I mean, that's a family band. I feel like that's a different kind of band to where,
because they made actual music.
Yeah, well, that and they were all siblings.
That's true.
So it's kind of like the Partridge Family, or I think the Carpenters,
the Monkees.
Were they all related?
No, they were manufactured. They were trying to be the,
were they
the
manufactured?
Beatles. Oh yeah, they were trying to do the Beatles.
Okay, then I guess that would be
That's got to be the first one, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Oh.
Hey,
is it the first one? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
You 74-year-old and above listeners, please let us know, what was the first manufactured boy band?
Yeah, people are like, who the fuck are the Monkees? Who are they talking about?
Cool.
Yeah.
I watched a couple of things. I started watching Only Murders in the Building.
Oh, yeah.
Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez. I'm only 2 episodes into the first season. And it's been on my watch list for a while, and Christy went to bed early. I needed something to watch, so I watched a couple episodes of that. Pretty good, so far. It's it follows these 3 characters. They all live in the same apartment building, and
in New York.
Yes, in New York, and they don't. At the beginning of the series, they don't hang out. They know each other in passing somewhat. But
like every other New York neighbor.
Yeah. And the fire alarm goes off, and they're all interrupted as they're all separately listening to this true crime podcast that they're all really into. Fire alarm goes off. They have to vacate the building until it gets solved, and they happen to stumble into each other at a bar or restaurant near their apartment, and they're all listening to the same podcast. So that's how they meet. They return back to the apartment. Someone's been murdered.
Dun, dun, dun.
So they go in to see who's been murdered, and it was an acquaintance of theirs that they ran into in an elevator. And they're like, oh, he's been murdered. And the cop's like, no, it's a suicide. He wrote a letter on his laptop. It's a suicide. So then they find some evidence that they think, oh, maybe there's foul play or something. So they start looking into his life, and they decide to create a podcast, a true crime podcast, and goes from there. Steve Martin plays a out of work actor who used to be on a 90s crime drama. So like a CIS or like NYPD Blue called Brazos. And that was he was some New York cop.
Is that his last name, Brazos? Like the character?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, but that was his character on the TV show. Martin Short plays a Broadway director who has been out of work for several years, and is on the verge of being financially destitute. He's hasn't been able to pay his bills. And Selena Gomez plays a resident who is staying in the apartment, fixing up her aunt's apartment. And then as you go on, you find out a little bit more about the characters. So far, pretty good. The humor, I watched it just for Martin Short, because he's awesome. I love him. He's pretty good. The banter between him and Steve Martin
is right on point.
Yeah, I mean, you can just you can tell it was kind of,
it's like a glove.
Yeah, it's comfortable and it fits very, very well. But the humor is like it's not like laugh out loud, rolling on the floor humorous, but there's just a bunch of little comments, and
gotcha.
it's very understated, very subtle, and it's good. It's well written.
Did they write it, Steve Martin and Martin Short, or is it somebody else?
I think the story was developed by Steve Martin and somebody else.
Okay.
But
quick, look it up, Jay.
Huh? I can't.
Damn it.
Fucking Wi-Fi's down.
Storm. Damn hail.
The storm. But a surprise of it, I've never seen Selena Gomez act in anything. I don't know what she's been in before or whatever, but she's pretty good in the show.
Okay.
And yeah, she's holding her own, especially, I mean, against Steve Martin and Martin Short.
Oh yeah, they've been doing it forever.
But yeah, she's really good. Again, I've never seen her in anything else, but as far as I can tell, she's a pretty good actress.
Right. I saw her in a movie called Getaway with Ethan Hawke, 7 years ago.
How was she in that?
I mean, it's not her fault.
Yeah,
it's just a shit screenplay, and it's a
Ethan Hawke movie.
I forgot about it. Let's put it that way. I don't remember it sucking because of her.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I wouldn't put that movie as a litmus test to her acting abilities. Yeah. So, but yeah, in this show, she's pretty good. Yeah, nice.
And everyone's really good in it. I mean, even the side characters and stuff. I mean, the acting, some of it gets a little not campy, but some of the characters are slightly over the top, which is good because it fits the show.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's really well put together.
Is it like 10 episodes or?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Second season is supposed to be coming out soon.
Ooh.
I think
so. There's gonna be a cliffhanger.
I'm assuming so.
Okay.
But
is it set up to where it's trying to take a shit on or parody the fact that the police officer said no, it's a suicide, but they're trying to make it a murder, but it's not actually a murder? Or
no, they don't do that. So the show starts off like the first scene in the show is I think it's Steve Martin and Martin Short like run down the hall. They're like in a frantic hurry and like, oh, go get her. And they bust open the door and Selena Gomez is kneeling next to a dead body with blood all over her shirt. And she's like, it's not what you think. And then it goes back to 2 months earlier.
Oh, okay.
So it's a proper mystery.
Cool.
And there's some mysteriousness as far as where Selena Gomez comes from and what she's doing. And all the characters are just kind of, they're not shady, but just a little not completely honest the whole time. But it's good. Looking forward to watching the rest of it.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
I just steal my username and login from somebody I know so I can watch this on Hulu.
No. That's not allowed. Netflix is cracking down on,
they're going to have some ad-supported tiers here soon.
Yeah. They can lick my ball sack.
Balls.
If they do that, then I think
it's happening.
That might be the trigger. Like as far as our subscription, I hope they add a lesser tier.
They will,
and not interrupt my tier. Just make for the plebes. Yeah, they can watch ads. I don't have time for that shit. I'm too important. I'm too good. They start putting commercials on my shit.
This is a good question. So right now I'm paying $20 a month for Netflix. I think that's what we're paying.
Mm-hmm.
Would you, if they said, okay, ad free, it's still $20, but we're also going to have this $8 a month, whatever, ad supported subscription tier. Would you still keep Netflix? obviously, if you're
It depends what I'm paying. I don't even know what I'm paying. I am so wealthy. Money flies out of my bank account. It flies in. I have no. I don't know. It's in my wife's name. I don't. I could look at. I think it's maybe it's. I think we're doing a 14. We don't have 4K.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
that's how much money we have. I'm still rocking 1080p. But no, we just have HD streaming, and I think like whatever the base thing. I think it's like 14
Yeah,
a month or something like that. If they say, oh, the 14 is ad supported, you want to go non-ad supported, it's $20. I'd be like, no.
Really?
Yeah, I think
that's the cutoff.
I would finish Stranger Things, and I'd be like, peace out. I'll see you in a year when you pop out another one.
Gotcha.
And then gone. Because other than Stranger Things, Mindhunter, I'm trying to think of any other shows on Netflix that
I watched The Last Kingdom. I'm a big fan of that.
That's a movie though, right?
No, it's a show.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. What am I thinking of? The Last Duel.
You think? Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen The Last Kingdom.
Yeah.
But all like Santa Clarita Diet, they canceled.
Yeah.
Glow, they canceled. There's other than Stranger Things and Mindhunter, which may or may not come out with a third season.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Because
I have no urge to.
Their movies are awful.
Well, yeah, because all the parent companies took them back home for their own streaming services.
Well, not only, I mean, original movies.
Oh yeah,
they're not that good at all. What did we just watch? We just watched
Windfall,
Spiderhead.
Is that's the
Chris Hemsworth, Miles Teller?
Yeah,
me and Nicole just watched that last night.
How's that?
It's fine.
Yeah. Glowing review.
I didn't know we were going to talk about it, but if get my thoughts together, but it's fine. C. I would give it a C. I mean, it's not like I was mad that I watched it. It just wasn't what Chris Hemsworth is great in it, but the story itself is just,
But you said okay. Spiderhead?
Spiderhead.
It's like dystopian kind of like sci-fi-ish movie.
Not dystopian. It's based off an article from the New Yorker, I believe. They do some embellishment, but it's about a pharmaceutical company that reduces penitentiary inmates' sentences by being pharmaceutical subjects. Yeah, that's the whole plot of the movie. And it's directed by Joseph Kosinski, who just did Top Gun Maverick. So I did have some high hopes for it. Yeah. Well, yeah. Anyway.
But yeah.
So $14 is your cutoff, and they go above and say, if you don't want ads, Jay, you're gonna have to pay $20.
At that point, it turns into being pointless I might as well just get cable again.
It's true. Yeah.
Even though I haven't watched live TV in
some time.
Yeah. I think the only thing I watched that a show is What We Do in the Shadows. I think is the only TV show I watched and Rick and Morty that gets put out on regular seasons. Always Sunny, I'll watch every once in a while, but there's so many damn seasons of that. They're accessible anywhere.
Yeah. True.
But yeah, I'm not going up $20 a month to get ad free. I think I just
it's gotten to that point now. I don't think Netflix anticipated that. Like all these streaming services with all this content coming at different directions, people actually have to make choices now.
They should have if they had a halfway decent marketing department.
Well, they don't. Yeah. Obviously, they just greenlit whatever the fuck they want.
I hope what they get from this is they become more selective as far as the projects they put out and start putting out more quality.
They have to be.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Other thing I watched and finished, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I am interested to understand. I want to hear what you have to say because I've went through the interwebs of hell from all different perspectives. So I only trust yours. So what do you have to say?
See, I haven't read. All right. I'm eager to see what you've read because I haven't looked at anything as far as Obi-Wan Kenobi stuff because I was waiting until after I gave my opinion. Then I'd go and I'd see what other people have said.
So you've seen it and haven't read anything. I've read everything and haven't seen it.
Yeah. Perfect.
There you go.
Perfect.
I like it.
It's like salt and pepper.
Yep.
All right. So I watched, I kind of have these broken out. I watched episodes 4, 5, and 6 because I went on a little vacation.
Yeah.
Came back. It was all 4 and 5 were already out. And then I had to wait a day watch the finale.
Yep.
So I just kind of have these broken out.
Nice.
Episode 4, just a very basic notes, and I'll give you my overall.
Where were we off? All right, I already forgot. Episode 3. Tell me where we left off.
So episode 3, let me flip back. Episode 3, Obi-Wan seemed very agitated. They were on a desert planet. You had Zach Braff show up as an alien.
Oh yeah.
And then they Vader and Obi-Wan.
They met. That's right.
They met. Vader dragged him through some
lava.
Okay. Or, well, it was fire.
Okay.
And then Leia was kidnapped by Reva at the end of episode 3, and
was she going to take Leia to Vader? Was that her?
No.
Okay.
So episode
right.
Episode 4, part 4, I should say. I just have a couple notes. Reva interrogates a 10-year-old for rebel secrets, more or less. She's looking for.
This is Leia, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So she has Leia in an interrogation cell or whatever, and Reva is looking for the passage network. I want to say Underground Railroad because that's what it's a secret passage network that people use to smuggle people out of harm's way, mainly Jedi. And she's trying to find where those networks lead so she can find Obi-Wan or be in Vader's favor or whatever. So she's interrogating Leia and she's asking her, where's the network? Where does it stop? Where does it go? Now, I am not a child of ambassadors or government officials or any of that. But if I was, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't know any of that shit when I was 10 years old.
Right.
Princess or not.
Yeah.
That scene was borderline funny because she was playing like a good cop, bad cop, both roles or whatever. She was like trying to be like the friend. She's like, tell me. And then she decides, oh, I'm going to have to torture you.
Really?
Yeah. And the fact that she was trying to get that kind of information from a 10-year-old, one, what makes you think she knows?
Right.
Like she was asking for star systems and like drop off point. And I'm like, what? She's 10.
My favorite color's blue.
Yeah. She has a little robot she carries around with her when she feels sad. I mean, what? It didn't make sense, but it's written for children, I guess.
Okay.
Because all the children are Obi-Wan fans.
That's right. They're clamoring to see some Obi-Wan.
Yeah. O'Shea Jackson Jr. Shows up in the show. And
Ice Cube's son, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And he's not bad in it. He wasn't bad in episode part 4, whatever. He was better in Straight Outta Compton.
Great movie.
Better script.
Yeah.
Anyways, so he shows up, and I think he's in part 5 and 6 too. My only notes for part 4.
That was it?
I can't tell you.
She got out of it?
I can't tell you where the story left off at the end of, because I just watched them all in a row. Episode
4. Reva interrogates a toddler.
Yeah. And threatens to torture her. And then she stops at the last minute.
Perfect.
Obi-Wan comes and rescues her, and then they just kind of walk out. And he hides her into this oversized trench coat.
I heard about that.
And it was ridiculous.
Was it really?
It was just lazy as shit is what it is.
Okay.
And
all right. I heard people criticizing that, and I'm thinking it can't be that bad. Maybe
it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
It's what's her name? Sand from Game of Thrones, and Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan's hiding Leia in his trench coat. And
like a trench coat.
Yeah, it's like it almost looked like when in Austin Powers, when he was on Mini-Me's shoulders wearing that giant lab coat, and they were doing that goofy walk down the hall. It almost looked like that.
Really?
He wasn't on her shoulders, but it was just, it looked so weird. Like, oh, there's a huge tumor coming out of this guy's side. It doesn't look inconspicuous at all. It's or whatever.
Wow, they were really pressed for time, weren't they?
Yeah, they just walk out of the facility. There's a bunch of stormtroopers there, and they're like, "Oh, stop!" And then everyone's shooting. Somehow they make it off without a hitch. Wade dies. Apparently that was the thing.
Who's Wade?
Some random guy who showed up, and just a nobody.
Nobody
Showed
okay.
up, sacrificed himself, died, and it was
Okay.
I think it was supposed to be an emotional thing, but you never met him before. You're like,
Oh, they played the scene like it was an emotional thing.
Kind of. I don't know. He's like, oh, I got this. Oh, go without me. I'll be there later. And then as soon as you say, you never say that. You're merely gonna die.
Sure.
Anyways,
I'll be right back.
Episode 5. The writing is everywhere in this whole series. I did notice in episode 5 it was better.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 6 was about on that same par. It wasn't great, but I could tell there was a difference, and I'll get to that reason why, because I picked out the reason more than likely that's responsible. Based on my assumption, is because part 5 and part 6 had Andrew Stanton had a writing credit.
Oh.
He is the guy
Finding Nemo.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wrote Finding Nemo.
Wally.
Some of Pixar's best.
Toy Story, by the way.
Yep.
He co-wrote Toy Story.
And so he understands story. And
yeah, fair.
He just did the last 2 episodes.
Hmm.
I don't know. Like, I kind of like, I imagine them watching like what's being made, and they're looking at the scripts and they're like, shit. Or they're like filming this, and they finished the script for part 4, and they're like, God, where the fuck is this going? Like, this sucks. Like, we know it sucks. We need to make beef it up, make it better. What the fuck's Andrew doing? Or like, let's get somebody in here that knows what the hell they're doing. Because it was one guy who has a writing credit for all the episodes, and he's the only one that I think that has a writing credit for all the episodes.
Okay.
But the first 4 had 2 people that were co-writers or story by or whatever. They weren't on 5 and 6. It was just Andrew Stanton and this other guy.
Okay.
But anyways, Tala, great character. Spoiler alert, she's dead.
They killed off a great character.
Yeah. The one good new character they killed off, and it actually felt that emotional beat hit. And because it was during that scene when I was watching it, I was like, because she has a construction droid that was kind of protecting her or whatever, and he like stepped in front of her, and then he like, as he's powering down, he's like leaning over her to try and protect her or whatever, and she gets shot or whatever, and that emotional beat hit, and I was like, all right, yeah, now you guys are getting somewhere, all right. And then
so it hit harder than Wade's death.
Yeah. Fucking Wade. And
fucking Wade.
It's
gonna be a new saying. Fucking Wade.
But yeah, episode 5 was fine. I wish I could give you story specifics, but it all just kind of melts together into some blob of nothing. If Reva reveals that she was a youngling, and
didn't you predict that? You thought that was
I thought that was the case. What I thought was going to happen was Obi-Wan was going to bring her back to the light side.
That's right.
And
that would inspire him to the Darth Vader. Okay,
that is not the case. What ended up happening, this was revealed at the end of episode 5, was that Obi-Wan went up to her and they were kind of speaking through a door, and she told him that she was a youngling. She was like, oh, where were you when he was slaughtering everybody? I've been doing this for years to try and get close enough to Vader to kill him. And so that was like the twist, is that she was an inquisitor to get close enough to Vader to kill him. Never mind that
has she been killing people?
Yeah, she's been killing people, and she's been in rooms with Darth Vader before. And I'm like, what are you waiting for? Like, Christmas or... But anyway, so that's her reasoning. Okay. And Obi-Wan's like, well, we can do it together and do this whole thing. And then, I don't know, she's, I don't know. But that was the thing.
That was a thing.
Yeah. episode 6. I'm breezing over these things. This is how well it stayed with me. There's a nice scene between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan when Obi-Wan like hits they meet again in episode or
Okay.
part 6. They duel. Obi-Wan beats Vader again and cuts his mask off, so you have this awesome shot to where you have half of Anakin's Hayden Christensen's face and half Vader mask, and when he speaks, both voices are together to where it's half modulated as Vader and half is Anakin. Really good. That was a really good scene. They Roken, who is a character that was played by Ice Cube Jr. And Reva, they set up for future shows, obviously.
Okay.
Because there's a stupid scene where Ice Cube Jr. is like, oh, well, all right, well, I'm going to get going. And then Obi-Wan's like, hey, you're a leader. People listen to you. Don't stop. And he's like, I'm just getting started. I'm like, fuck off. Like,
awesome.
Yeah. I was like, great. Okay. So Ice Cube Jr., he'll run a show, I guess, for a smuggler or something.
Okay.
Which he wasn't bad in the show. It's just the writing sucks. He didn't really have anything to do.
You're not super excited for it.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't care. The ending felt rushed again. Like they were just kind of catching up with stuff.
Yeah.
They set up Reva for a show. Oh, at the end of episode 5.
What happened?
She attempts to try and kill Vader, and Vader's like just defending himself using the Force. So she's like trying to hit him with the lightsaber, and he's just kind of like waving her off and whatnot and all this other crap. And which at that point, and he like rips the lightsaber away from her, like breaks it in half because it was like a dual blade. And then he like throws her a lightsaber, and he hangs on to her other half of the lightsaber. And I'm like, yeah, at that point you fucking run.
Sure.
That's
pretty,
so
pretty badass.
He ends up stabbing her.
Stabbing her?
Yeah. The Inquisitor that
died
she
the first
killed.
Episode?
Yeah, he's not dead. He lived, and his reasoning was, it's the rage that kept me alive. He's like, you have no idea, or something to the effect of, you have no idea how long you can stay alive when you're fueled by rage and revenge. And then blah, blah, blah. They have that big reveal. He's like, oh, because she was made Grand Inquisitor. And then they're like, haha, you dumb bitch. You're not Grand Inquisitor. And gotcha, sucker.
And that was Darth Vader's plan?
He made her Grand Inquisitor, and he was aware that she was trying to do revenge the entire time. So yeah, that he's like, oh, you didn't think I suspected you, youngling, and blah, blah, blah. And she has a flashback to when she was young and Anakin standing over her and all this other stuff. But so anyways, they stab her at the end of episode 5. She's alive in episode 6 because she finds out that Luke is alive from the worst communication voicemail from Bail Organa. He leaves Obi-Wan a voicemail message on a communicator saying, hey, I haven't heard from you. I don't know if you've been captured or you're dead, but I need an update. Let me know if you want me to go find Vader's other child on Tatooine. Owen will need some help with the kid. It's like gives all this. I was like, what the? I was like, who talks like that? But so anyways, that was at the end of episode 5, and
I'll be at 12550 Tatooine Lane, right next to the McDonald's
at 20 past 10. If you're not there by 10:30, I'll stay until 11:30, and then I'm gonna leave. But I'll be driving a red Chevy. Don't tell anybody. So episode 6, Reva goes to Tatooine. She's gonna kill. She finds a message that Bail Organa left. Yeah, she's gonna try and find Luke and kill Luke to hopefully make Darth Vader feel bad, because she automatically assumes it's Vader's child for whatever reason, and not Bail Organa's child. It could have been anybody's child. But she makes that jump to conclusions, which is correct. And then Beru and Owen try to fight her off a little bit. So Yeah, felt rushed. Anyways, Obi-Wan comes and sees Reva, and she's about ready to kill Luke, and she decides not to. It's not in her.
Why did she decide to do that? Did Obi-Wan tell her not to do it?
No, it's just not who she was.
So she found the strength within herself
correct.
right then and there.
So, which I don't have a problem with, but it's like this whole show could have been two different shows. I feel like it could have been an Inquisitor show, which they could have had Reva as the lead for the Inquisitor show. If they did like a 6-episode show they could have opened it the same way. They could have had a lot of the same beats as far as her being an Inquisitor, her trying to work her way up the Inquisitor rank to become Grand Inquisitor. And because they had a nice line in there when the Grand Inquisitor said, "You have no idea how long you could stay alive when you're fueled by revenge." She had a same stab wound that she gave the Grand Inquisitor. She was able to keep herself alive. Now, she didn't die at the end of the show. I think when she decided not to kill Luke and she let her anger go, that's when she should have died. But they kept her alive to do other shows, apparently. So, but I think it would have been better if she had her own show. That same line being spoken, they could have replaced Obi-Wan's character with just a generic Jedi that just happened to survive Order 66 that she runs into. But they could have had the same thing. That would have been a really good show if they concentrated on her story and her character, and then had that kind of character arc. And it could have just also been a limited series to where it would have been a revenge story. And it would be because she was more or less a part of the light. She used probably some dark side powers, maybe, but it was all to get closer to Vader to try and get her revenge. And they could have had the same, like I said before, the same story beats to where she gets stabbed and then she goes to try and hurt Vader another way. And then the generic Jedi just simply says, or she decides not to do it. And when she decides not to do it, she dies from her wounds. But it wouldn't be sacrificing herself. It would just be letting go of her anger.
Yeah.
And to protect a child and not letting her make that leap, similar to what Vader did, to where he would murder children. She decides not to.
Right.
I think that would have been a better story for her character, as opposed to this half-assed way to introduce her. And I think part of the reason why a lot of people had a problem with her is because for some reason it kept going back to her. No one gave a shit about her. They want to see Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And it didn't do that character any justice. I think that an Inquisitor show just with that, I think would have been a lot better received. They could have casted it the same way, again, except for Obi-Wan and just have a generic Jedi in there, but they could have still had Vader in there. Yep. They could have had all the other characters. They could have the whole situation. It could have been it could have been maybe Princess Leia or something similar to that. But it didn't need to be combined with Obi-Wan. And again, the bait and switch thing, I think they try to use it. Oh, we're going to introduce these characters. You're doing too much. Concentrate on the story.
Right.
And make a good story first. If you happen to create a character that people like and have a following, then you can make more stuff. But also, it'd be nice if they just made a story that was still good.
Yeah.
First, as opposed to trying to map out characters that, oh, well, hopefully you like this character because we're doing a show about him. And then if they don't like them, then I guess you're not going to do a show about them. And then you just wasted your opportunity telling a good story in the first place.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. So did it end with Reva surviving, obviously? Where did she end up going? Just leaving?
I don't fucking know. She off into the space.
And then did Obi-Wan see Luke and say something like, oh, hello there?
Yeah, he said his hello there line. Yeah, because Owen's like, do you want to meet him? And he's like, oh, hello there. And then Obi-Wan goes back into hiding again, which is the same ending he had in episode 3, which is going back into seclusion. But when he goes into seclusion, he sees Qui-Gon as a Force ghost.
Oh, and Liam Neeson?
Yep. Liam Neeson.
Really?
Yep. And that was just at the very end, and then they walk into a cave together.
Did he say, "Now let's go beat up some black people together"?
Forgot about it. For a split second there, I was like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? No, he thought about it.
Oh, I kid. That'd have been great. That's kind of cool, though. I mean,
yeah, I
like Qui-Gon Jinn.
And they had a couple good scenes. They had a flashback scene with Anakin as Padawan Anakin.
Oh, cool.
Which it didn't look like they tried to do any de-aging thing. It just looked like they tried to make him look younger with makeup. But there's his couple of his facial expressions. I mean, he had enough rank. I mean,
yeah, he's 40.
The guy's 40, and he kind of looked like a 40-year-old.
Yeah, there you go.
In a couple things, but which was fine.
There ain't nothing wrong with that.
But Hayden Christensen stepped back into that role really well, like how he acted in episode 2. And Obi-Wan did the same at that point in time for their character. So that I give credit to. The flashback was kind of fun. Again, the Inquisitor could have been its own show. Obi-Wan, I think it would have been, again, a little bit better if they could have had the same kind of story to where he had to go rescue Princess Leia. I didn't need him running into Vader again. I think it would have been a nice story, I think, if he bonded with Princess Leia. And then had that thing to where he trained, Princess Leia, like at the beginning of the story, would just be spoiled and selfish and everything else, to where her experience with Obi-Wan kind of made her she would see a different side, because she was living a life of luxury always on Alderaan. And to where if she was kidnapped and then they're trying to get back, and she sees how other people live in the galaxy, to where it gives her that sense of, I'm very fortunate, and gives her that sense of charity, or that sense of wanting to do good. And because they kind of had a little bit of that in this show, but she was pretty much already a fully formed character. It's like, oh, let's take Princess Leia at A New Hope and make her 10 and just have it be that kind of, she really didn't have much growth in this episode. But I think that would have been a better story, to where she kind of picked up on those things as far as being, considerate, but strong. I mean, she could still have a strong personality, a sense of like stubbornness, but have Obi-Wan be able to help shape that something, to where I think it would have been a nice touch, because he would have had a hand in developing all the Skywalkers.
Yeah, you mentioned that before. That would have been nice.
I think sense. And it would have been better, because you could have concentrated on Obi-Wan as a character.
Sure.
And you could have still had the same arc for him, to where he was kind of weaker in the Force, but his arc seems kind of redundant, because the way he ends up in the show is the same way he ends in episode 3.
Yeah.
To where, I'm going to go off and train by myself for a while. But whatever, overall,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
didn't change the world.
No. And it didn't change the original trilogy for me at all. Like, I could
didn't add value to it.
Correct. I could easily just forget about this show ever existing. There's
Gotcha.
no,
and that was just to circle back here. That was the main criticism that I heard a lot. That it didn't add any value to the original trilogy.
Yeah, it was a nothing thing.
Yeah.
To where, I mean, I watched it. If I had not seen, like, if I could go back and prevent myself from watching it, I wouldn't miss out on anything. Because there's nothing. I mean, that's a perfect way. It didn't add value to anything. Didn't add value to the prequels. Didn't add value to the original trilogy.
Yeah.
It didn't offer any additional insight as far as any of the characters' viewpoints or actions or anything like that. It was just it was nothing.
Yeah, they criticized the logic of just thinking it through for like 20 minutes. You know, this series takes place 10 years before A New Hope. A big gripe that people have is, you know, the message that Princess Leia gives to R2-D2 in the very beginning of A New Hope to Obi-Wan. She kind of gives it in a way that, you know,
she's never met him before.
And, you know, you helped serve my father in the Clone Wars. You know, I've heard stories about you, but you just went on an adventure with him 10 years earlier. You'd remember that.
Yeah.
So they're mad at that. They're mad at the, so when Obi-Wan and Darth Vader meet in A New Hope, it's like they hadn't, because he has a line in it where he's like, I've sensed something that I haven't sensed
since
And then he walks
and
away.
then he walks away.
It's like that's something that someone would say like you haven't felt in like 30 years, 35 years,
20 years.
Exactly. Something.
And the last time you felt it was when you had your fucking arms and legs chopped off and left in lava.
Exactly.
And you're not going to say that in front of your boys. And you're like, I haven't felt that since I got my ass handed to me.
Exactly. Well, and the fact that they were mad that Obi-Wan beat Vader again in the show. I heard that they dueled again, and Vader lost because Obi-Wan had been so out of practice for so long, and Vader's supposed to be this badass Sith Lord at this point.
Mm-hmm.
How did he lose to Obi-Wan? And then 10 years later, say something like, "When we last left,
I was but a learner, and now I am the master."
Yeah.
At the end of episode 6 of the show, Obi-Wan beats him again.
Yeah.
They make a comment. I'd have to rewatch it, which I don't want to do, but
I don't want to do it.
Vader, and there's an instance that happens that makes sense, that makes that line make sense, but it's because they talk about the need to win or something.
Yeah. In the logic,
there's canonical. Also,
conical. Pi square times height is conical.
There's some issues with that show, which is why I think they should have thought about it.
Yeah.
A little bit better.
Yeah.
To where, and that's why I think if they had wanted to have Vader in the Obi-Wan show, it should have just been him in pursuit.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan trying to get the fuck away. I think because it would have made that much better when Obi-Wan confronts him in episode 4 too. Because if you had the show to where he's just running away and trying to get out of that conflict and not have it again, either because he's afraid or because of whatever, I think it would have paid off a little bit better in episode 4 when Obi-Wan sees Vader and then he turns on his lightsaber to face him, because he's already at that point to where he's like, I'm already better than this, I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some issues there with the story wise, and I think because of those mistakes. I mean, you're gonna have people that are really into these stories that will nitpick that.
Oh, for sure.
And with this kind of fan base, you have to be cognizant of that.
That was the thing. They were wondering, why didn't you hire a fan of Star Wars to write this?
Or just, I mean, I think one, if they separated the two, because there's 2 TV shows smashed together into this, everything felt rushed and nothing felt complete. The choreography was not good. The camera work was not good. They had shaky cam, which
did they add? I heard that you can add that in post-production. Like, it's not even shaky cam, and it's like an effect. Did it?
Oh,
you don't even know.
I mean, I don't know if they used
digital.
I didn't pay enough attention to it. I just noticed it, and I'm like, I've never seen shaky cam in Star Wars before that I can remember. Usually, they're pretty solid, lockdown, purposeful shots, and but the writing felt rushed. It was 2 TV shows smashed together, and both those shows suffered at that point.
Is there credence in this criticism? Somebody said that it should have been named The Adventures of Young Leia.
Yeah. She's definitely, I mean, she's the 3rd character they concentrate on.
Okay.
I mean, it's Obi-Wan, it's Reva, and it's Leia.
Okay.
And I think that is a good point. It does feel very childlike. Like, the show feels like a childhood adventure of like, oh, the kid's getting away, and she's using her cleverness to solve problems and everything else like that. It'd be like that in a part of an episode, and then you have another part where Vader has half his mask cut off, and he's he's speaking about how he killed Anakin, like speaking as Vader, and then you have Obi-Wan in a Bacta tank because he's got severe burns and he's having PTSD flashbacks from when he fought Vader. And I'm like, what? So
What
was just
tone are we going with?
yeah,
here?
it was a mess of a show.
Yeah. Interesting.
And
I heard the production value was crap too.
Yeah.
They harp on this scene where I don't know if it's that transportation Jedi Underground Railroad you were talking about, but there's seats in it or something to where when people move, the chair would move, like wiggle, like it was just a chair, like from IKEA.
Oh, and they just green screened over it or something?
Yeah. They would just wiggle. So like you would hop off the chair. It's supposed to be a stationary chair on a train, not like a chair that you like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can see it wiggling.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Now I did not consciously notice that, so I guess I will give the show some credit to where I've been lost in the narrative enough to where I didn't see a fucking chair wiggle. But maybe I subconsciously picked up on it, and that's just another reason why I felt like it, because I thought it looked cheap in the first episode.
Oh, okay.
In which I think I made mention of, to where they have that front screen projection, but then some shots it just look like a crap green screen that they shot in somebody's basement.
Right.
But it was kind of all over the place in that thing. But it felt rushed, even though they've been working on it for like 3 years or story. I don't know if they were just lost in story or
could be
what, or maybe they had maybe they were going to do an Inquisitor TV show and they're like, nope, we can't do it anymore. Well, we got these people contracted. I'll shove them into Obi-Wan or something like that. But whatever they did, it made everything suffer. They could have had, I guess they could have had 3 TV shows: The Adventures of Young Leia, Obi-Wan, and the Inquisitor show. Instead, they have one
giant mess.
I wouldn't even call it mediocre. It's just nothing. Like it does.
It's just a nothing burger.
It just didn't feel like anything was on purpose.
Yeah. Wait, so do you recommend this?
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
And the other big criticism was the logic. Like you already glossed over a lot of it. Like, okay, the Inquisitor dies and then he comes back and then Reva gets stabbed. And then she
everyone's
comes back.
getting stabbed and they live. Meanwhile, Qui-Gon gets stabbed and he's fucking dead for 2 minutes in.
Yeah.
And
and everyone's like, okay, so Reva, her whole plan was to get back at Vader by killing other kids and people, and then Vader knew the whole time that Reva was doing this, so why not kill her?
Yeah.
And
it felt like the twists were written by a 10-year-old.
There you go.
And it was like,
wouldn't it be cool if like Vader knew the whole time, right?
When Reva revealed that she was doing what she was doing for revenge, the first time she said, I was like, well, that's clever. Would have been better in a separate show.
Yeah.
Not this one.
Yeah.
Because I don't give a fuck about her. I'm watching for Obi-Wan.
Right.
Like if it was her own show, I think it would have been a very good revenge story.
Yeah.
And it could have fit in the Star Wars narrative as far as being able to let things go, being able to
control your feelings and
let go of your anger and be a better person kind of thing. But
All right. I don't want to talk about that anymore.
Yeah. It's
terrible.
Yeah. Lightyear. You wanted to touch on that?
Oh yeah. Before we start talking about Toy Story, Lightyear. So Jay, do you have any desire to see this in theaters at least?
Not in theaters. I'll probably just wait for Disney Plus.
Yeah, me too.
When I saw the trailer, of course, I'm a sucker for David Bowie. And I thought the trailer looked really good. And apparently it didn't make a lot of money.
No, not at all.
I thought it was a cool concept for a spinoff of having it be the movie that the toy is modeled after or whatever. Of course, I don't know if it's supposed to take place in his own universe, if it's supposed to be a movie within that universe and this is the movie.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
What? But
I have a different opinion on that. I disagree with you. When I first heard the concept, I didn't like it immediately. Like, wait, so you're doing a spinoff of Toy Story, Buzz Lightyear, and it's not the toy Buzz Lightyear, it's the real Buzz Lightyear.
Mm-hmm.
If I was the CEO of Disney, I'm like, no, I'm not greenlighting a theatrical $250 million Pixar budget for that concept. It's stupid. Because to me, Buzz is a toy. And that's the whole appeal of the concept of Toy Story. Like
Mhm.
toys talking and coming to life is way more appealing, especially to kids and even adults, than just an action animated movie where you're making them real now.
Space
And
adventure. See, I don't know.
I'm not.
Yeah,
It seemed.
I get what you're saying. I mean, obviously, I disagree. I think I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know what they did wrong.
I haven't either.
Or if they did anything wrong, or if just people weren't interested in a Lightyear movie. I think it's a fun concept to explore, as far as just making a space adventure film
Yeah.
that the toy was based off of.
Yeah, and I didn't even know that. I didn't know until after it came out that it was about a real person that the toy was based off of.
See, is it a real person though?
I don't know.
And that's the thing, because watching the Toy Story movies, especially the first Toy Story movie, I got the gist that it was a movie or a TV show, and Lightyear was a character in a TV show, and then the toy was based off that TV. And I only made that kind of assumption because of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joe, a lot of action figures, or like Star Wars action figures. They're just based off characters in a movie, not necessarily people in real life. So I always kind of assumed that Lightyear was a sci-fi story, not a real person, because in the Toy Story universe, there's no space travel. There's no evil Emperor Zurg. So obviously it's a TV show or a movie, or I mean, they had a video game for it.
Video game for it.
So that's, I guess for me, it wasn't that much of a giant leap, because that's what I always assumed Lightyear was the movie or TV show that the toy was based off of.
So you thought about it way more than I did.
That's because I'm a fucking nerd.
I thought literally that they were like, let's just take a character from Toy Story and make it like it's a real person. Make an adventure out of that. And to me, I'm like, it's not right off the bat. It's not interesting to me, because what's next? So we're gonna do like a Woody movie, or it's a cowboy adventure. I mean, you would love this. Woody, PG-13 rated Woody movie. It's a Western from Deadwood.
The cocksuckers from Yankton.
Yeah, those cocksuckers from down the street. Those barrel of monkeys. Yeah, I just didn't like the concept. So it didn't surprise me that it didn't do as well as it did, just because I didn't like the concept just to begin with. And if it reminded me of like those directed to video or DVD movies like Tinkerbell or the Tigger movie.
Yeah, the old school Disney sequels.
It reminded me of that a little bit.
Okay.
Where it wasn't a fully fleshed, like they were like testing the waters, like, yeah, we think this is a good idea. We're not going to spend the movie budget on it, but we'll give you some money to make it. This felt like, we're that same concept, and we're going to throw money at it. We're going to give you the whole Pixar treatment, and you guys figure it out.
Yeah. See, I don't know. I want to see it. I have a feeling it'll probably be on Disney Plus in a week.
Doctor Strange is on Disney Plus right now.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange too.
I'm
sorry.
But no,
Scarlet Witch and American Chavez going on an adventure together.
Oh, not together, separately,
yes, separately.
but together.
Yes.
The Fractured Butthole.
Yes. The Fractured Butthole.
Yeah. This is the title of a South Park.
Is that a
game.
porno?
No, it's a South Park video game.
Is it really?
Yeah. It's called The Fractured Butthole, like BUTWHOLE.
Nice.
And
classic.
But no, I'm interested to watch it simply from the story structure, which I think Pixar can do very well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't think they've done it recently very well, but
yeah.
But again, yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying. It does kind of feel like a cash grab,
a little bit,
as far just with the name.
Yeah.
But I hope whoever brought the story was like, oh, you could have. So I don't know. I'm eager to see what they did with the story. If the story is like a nothing story, and I'm like, why'd you make it?
Yeah,
like, kind of a thing. But
and it's been controversial because of the same-sex kiss scene in the movie.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I know. Well, how do you feel about it?
I don't give two fucks. I don't care.
I don't either.
I don't think anyone really cares. Like if that bothers somebody, don't see the fucking movie.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I know.
I mean, you got Chris Pratt fucking a goddamn raptor in Jurassic World Dominion.
Oh, it's like,
and no one cares.
No one cares about that. That's pretty graphic, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, I can give two shits about that. Yeah, I saw somebody posted a theater in Oklahoma or something like, "Oh, we try and fast forward
I heard about that. Yeah.
this part." I'm like, really? Like, you have nothing else to do but to just put up. I mean, I could see putting up a sign. Hey, in the first 30 minutes, this has the same sex kiss scene
Yeah.
in this movie.
Yeah.
FYI, if that bothers you, you probably don't want to see this. If you don't care, come and watch it if you want to watch it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I think it's getting a little too much hype over it. I understand both sides of the
it's
argument.
probably
there.
a nothing scene.
It probably adds nothing to the story. I guarantee you it doesn't.
Even if it does or doesn't, but like most of the time when people get all up in arms by, it's like I remember it was at Star Trek Beyond, and they revealed that Sulu's character was gay, and like, oh, he's got a husband in this, and all it was I think a 2-second shot of Sulu meeting up with his husband, and they have like an adopted kid or something like that, and they like embrace, and then they walk off together, and then it's a quick shot of Captain Kirk kind of looking at him like, family's back together. Like, that was it. It was all of 3 seconds or whatever it was, and everyone was up in arms about it.
Isn't Star Trek Beyond PG-13?
Huh?
Isn't Star Trek Beyond like PG-13?
I think so.
Well, then who fucking cares?
And even then, what does it matter? I mean,
I get both sides of the argument with this because it is geared towards kids. I get it. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
I get if like you were to take, say, your 4 or 5 or 6-year-old, right?
Mhm.
They're very inquisitive, and they're gonna have questions about it, right?
Maybe not.
Maybe not. But what if they do? And you as a parent are like, well, I don't have that conversation right now. Why is Disney forcing me to have that conversation with my kid? I get that argument, but then I get the argument, well, it doesn't matter. Why is it such a big deal? I get both sides.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it doesn't bother me as much because anything that my kids could possibly see in the real world just from walking down the street normally, not some weird, asteroids hitting a car and someone's brain exploding all over obviously I'm not going to show my kids that. Could that happen? Sure, I guess. But anything that's shown in a Disney movie, if it can be seen by walking down, like walking through the mall or through a store, or down the street, or anywhere out in public, I'm fine with.
Yeah.
So, same-sex couple having a kiss, whatever. I don't care. If kid has 2 girls are kissing, yeah. 2 guys are kissing, yeah. How come they're not boy and girl? Well, sometimes 2 women love each other. Sometimes 2 men love each other. And that's how I would explain it, and just leave it at that. You don't have to go into detail. You don't have to do anything like that. I mean, the same way, my daughter, first time she noticed that she was at a playground and she was playing with this girl who's black, and she made a comment. She's like, "Oh, she looks different than me." And I was like, "Yeah." And some people have light skin, some people have dark skin, just like your sister has dark hair, you have red hair. And it's different. Just like mommy has red hair, I have dark hair. Some people have different hair, some people have different skin. That's how I explained it. Left it at that. You don't have to go into this whole, let me tell you about slavery and institutional racism. As long as Disney's not having 2 characters using a strap on and butt fucking in the first 30 minutes of Lightyear, I could give 2 fucks. There's no serious conversation.
I heard they made that scene, but they cut it out.
Yeah, well, they need to put it back in there. Rule 34 applies. But as far as tough conversations, that's fucking bullshit. My kid watches, the same fucking movie over and over and over, and never picks up on the subtle adult shit.
Yeah.
They don't care. And if they ask you, just answer the fucking question. I mean, God.
I get it.
Yeah, I think a lot of that shit's just blown way out of proportion.
Yeah, I think it is blown out of proportion, but I disagree with you on that one a little bit.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You don't
people
you don't want the strap-on scene?
Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want that at all. No. I don't care either way. I think the movie failed because I think the concept's not very good.
Yeah.
Ultimately. I think that's why
Sure.
the majority of people didn't want to go see it.
Absolutely. And that's usually why movies fails, because they're not very good or poor
Yeah.
marketing.
Yeah.
It's usually more often than not one of the two.
Yeah.
But as far as people blowing that stuff way out of proportion, I have a feeling in 30 years it's going to be like interracial kiss scenes, or the way it was in the fucking sitcoms where you had the married people in twin beds because you couldn't show two people sleeping in the same bed on TV.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't show. What will the children say?
Yeah.
And meanwhile, every single household, they're sleeping in the same beds unless they're farmers or whatever the fuck. I don't know, whoever sleeps in twin beds. I don't know. But that's my opinion on that. I can give two fucks. Make a good story.
Yeah, I agree.
If you throw shit in there that doesn't make sense in the story, whether that be plot, characters, anything agenda wise that doesn't make sense or service the story, it's fucking superfluous and should be taken out immediately.
I agree.
So, anyways, leading into that, our segue from Lightyear to
what we're really here to talk about.
What is the best
man, this is tough
Toy Story movie? And I am picking, I think Toy Story 3 is the best Toy Story movie. Which Toy Story movie do you think is the best?
Obviously Toy Story 1, but it's very, very razor thin. I like them all a lot.
And
Toy Story 3 is probably my two.
Yeah.
It's really close. We're grasping hairs here at this point.
Yeah. And if you're listening to this and you're wondering, well, how come you're not talking about Toy Story 2 or Toy Story 4 being the best one? Because fucking pull your head out of your ass. You know, part 2 and part 4 are not the best ones. And they don't even, I think part 2 is probably part 4, I think, is probably the weakest.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Part 2 is a distant, I don't know. Third, it's not as good as the first one. It's not as good as the third one.
No.
Obviously the two best are part 1, part 3.
Yep. Well, I think because I'll go into Toy Story. Why I think it's because it focuses on just Buzz and Woody for the majority of the movie, and they're the two best characters in Toy Story by far. Two, I mean, it focuses more on just Woody, not necessarily about. There's Buzz aspects in there, but it's mainly Woody and then Jesse and the Roundup Gang, all that stuff. And then 4 is again more of a Woody story as well. Yeah. It's not really Woody's more of like the star of the show on 2 and 4. 3, what makes 3 so good is just the emotional beats that it hits throughout the entirety of the movie, especially towards the end. I mean, it builds up to that finale like a fine wine. It's very good. So it's tough for me to pick what my favorite one was, because I do like 3 a lot. It's very, very good. But I enjoy 1 the most just because I think it's overall the funniest one. I watched it the other day and I still laugh. I mean, all the jokes still hit today. The banter, it reminded me of I think this is like, that was Tom Hanks' last like really funny role. It reminded me of like 80s Tom Hanks, like an 80s Tom Hanks comedic performance,
and voice
just the way he delivered.
Yeah,
it was like an 80s Tom Hanks movie all those movies that I really like. You know, Tim Allen is just perfectly cast as like this overtly confident, oblivious, but respectful, military character. He plays dumb so well. And even the emotional part of it, he does really well too. And it kind of reminded me of like a road trip buddy comedy movie, because they could have just made that movie to where they're just Woody's just grappling with the fact that he's not Andy's favorite toy, and it's just set in Andy's room the entire time. And they don't do that. They go on sort of a road trip adventure throughout the whole movie. Sort of like Midnight Run or Outrageous Fortune or Due Date or any of those great road movies that you like, but it's, except for kids. There's not too many like funny kid buddy road trip movies out there. I think Toy Story might be the only one that I can think of. And of course it has a heart like all Toy Story movies do. When Buzz realized that he's not really Buzz Lightyear, and they have that whole scene where he's like, no, I really am. He goes to the top of the ledge. He tries to fly. He falls down. He breaks himself. And
The realization that
Yeah. And the whole concept of what if you were a toy in the real world and you were just lost? How do you get back? You know,
mhm,
you're in this big giant world. How do you get back to just, your secluded world? That was, well done. I mean, it's a simple story. Um, yeah, I mean, like here I wrote the subsequent sequels felt like they just injected more characters, which I didn't hate. Uh, but I think from the very first Toy Story, it made the story leaner and they cut out all the fluff. It made it very like, okay, we're just going to focus on these two characters and build their relationship. And then in the story, uh, with those two resolving the conflict with each other. The other two and four, there's just a lot of characters in it that, not to say that they're not interesting or the story wasn't good, but there's just a lot to unpack with all these additional characters that they inject in the story. And Toy Story, the first one at least doesn't do that. It's
mhm,
just focuses on those two characters.
yeah. The I'm not going to be as nice
All right, that's fine. You be mean.
about it. I will be mean.
You cold-hearted
Toy Story
son
1
of
was
a bitch.
dog shit. Um,
It's awful.
um, now, I mean, and I made a point. Here's the thing. I want to show you my notebook. That's my reasons for Toy Story 3 being awesome. Here's the things that I came up with why Toy Story wasn't good. And you can't see my notebook, but I have a full page written out why Toy Story 3 is good. And it was hard for me to come up with things that made Toy Story 1 not good.
Yeah.
And not to say that it's not good. It is a good movie. It's one of those, everyone makes comparisons of, oh, what's the best Pixar movie?
Yeah.
And it's such at a different level to where all
Mhm.
Pixar movies are pretty good to where the worst one is still a decent movie.
Yeah.
But for the most part, um, the but what I didn't want to do, I didn't want to shit on Toy Story because of the quality of the animation.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to shit on it because the story, I think the story is lacking.
Oh, you say.
I do say, and I am correct.
Okay.
The compared to their other movies. Now, granted, yes, it was the first computer animated movie. They fought like hell to get it made.
Mhm.
They went through a lot of story revisions. They were trying to fight off Disney as far as their input to try and make it their own. There's a lot of things in there. I think part of it, I mean, Toy Story, I think a lot of people like it because they watched it when they were kids. So they have kind of a rose tinted view on it. I don't think it's their best movie by any means. I would say it's probably a little higher than the middle as far as story quality. But again, it was their first movie. By the time they came out with Monsters Inc. and Finding Nemo, I think that's really when they hit their stride.
Mhm.
Is story wise. Plus their animation capabilities started getting better with technology. But
Yeah.
I didn't want to touch on that. I think as far as like the animation quality or the in-depth of story because it was the first one. Also, Toy Story 1's kind of looked at as, well, without that movie, we wouldn't have had all these other computer animated films. So in that sense, people are looking at it like Citizen Kane or something like the first
Right.
modern movie techniques and everything else like that.
Yeah. Well, it's the old argument of, A New Hope is better because without A New Hope, you wouldn't have Empire.
Yeah.
Kind of when Empire is it's a better movie.
Yeah.
It just is.
But having said that, I mean, I think there was a huge hurdle for Toy Story. Do I still enjoy it? Yeah. I mean, it's a decent movie. I think Toy Story 3 is better all around. The story structure by itself, it's the best. Granted, some of the emotional beats and some of the payoffs in Toy Story 3 couldn't happen without Toy Story.
Mhm.
But overall, I mean, Toy Story 3, I think, had the best opening. You were able to look into Andy's imagination as far as what he was looking at or thinking of when he was playing. You have payoffs with all the characters. each and every character gets a nice scene. I feel like each character has something to do,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes sense to the story, to where it's more of a collaborative movie. Yeah, Woody's still the main character, but um, it's the other characters have things to do other than it just being the Woody story
Mm-hmm.
and supporting Woody. It's
Yeah.
more of it's about the characters as a whole and that whole group.
Yeah, not like 2 and 4
Correct.
for the most part.
And then it has the best conclusion. I think probably one of the better endings for a movie, but also probably the best ending for a trilogy that wasn't based on a book.
It's hard to argue. The
Yeah.
ending is pretty
And
good. Did you cry the first time you saw the ending?
I
Did you well up?
absolutely, because I'm not a psychopath.
Yeah, because
And
I don't have a heart of stone.
yeah, and I think also the characters, it's the best representation of all of those characters. And granted, I think you needed the 2 movies to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like Ham turned into Cliff from Cheers, kind of like the random expert on stuff.
Yeah.
Because he's a little bit different in part 1, as well as a couple other the characters just aren't fully there yet. Which
No, not yet.
They didn't have that much time. They
Yeah.
and they probably just didn't have it at their disposal. But also, the characters are more fleshed out and they're all likable. Every character is the best version of that character. They all have something to do, which I said, and it's not just the Woody and Buzz show. Woody, I think, is the most likable in this movie. I think he's kind of a prick in all the other movies. You have the first one where he's extremely jealous of Buzz, which, it's a friendship movie. And it's kind of important to kind of show that in a children's film, as far as it's okay to be jealous when you kind of get misplaced. It's almost like getting another sibling or something like that.
Gotcha. Or when your best friend meets another friend, and gotcha.
But every movie Woody is in, he's always self-serving. The second one, it's no, I don't want to. I'm a collector. I have a purpose now, and he's always like trying to chase after something that he thinks he wants. Even in the fourth one, when he feels like he gets his dust bunny and he's not Bonnie's favorite, and he doesn't have that attention. He goes back into that. Oh, well, I went with her to help her in kindergarten, and then now she made this friend, and we gotta look after this friend because Bonnie. I never got the sense that Bonnie really liked Forky. Yeah, she wanted to know where Forky was or whatever, but I felt like Woody was looking after Forky so that way he felt like he had a purpose. Like, well, I got to look after this idiot and make sure he doesn't kill himself. And so I'm important now because this toy is now more important to Bonnie than any of you all other people. He was a dick in that one too. I in part 3, he was the best version of himself. Because one, he was trying to, it's not like he was, I'm going to college with, like, he wanted to keep the group together, and that was important to him. And that was his main goal, was to keep everybody together. Even though it would have been in Andy's attic and he was still, we need to be there for Andy. It didn't feel as self-serving as the other movies. And I think part 3, I think is hilarious. All of them have pretty good humor. I feel like 4 is going to be extremely dated, quicker than the other ones. Part 2,
part 4. Why do you think that?
It feels too modern as far as just the jokes. There's, in part, maybe that's just because it didn't feel like an organic story. It didn't feel like it needed to be. It was a cash grab.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It didn't add anything. If you removed part 4, it would make the rest of the movies better. Because with part 4 being made, it kills everything that part 3 did. as far as conclusion.
Mm-hmm. It should have ended at part. I agree. The third one should have ended it. But I disagree with you on. I think the first one's the funniest one.
You're
by far.
No,
Yes.
it's not. No,
it absolutely is. It so is. Well, okay, so Andrew Stanton and Josh Whedon and Ethan Cohen and Lasseter. Those are the four that wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the humor, Josh Whedon's humor is in there, and so is Stanton's humor. And I mean, all the jokes still hit. All of them do.
Still do.
They're so good.
But I feel like the writing, the overall story and the overall story and writing was better in the third one. There's I think it's Buzz, I think, is the funniest in there, especially when he was factory reset.
The Spanish Buzz?
No, not the Spanish Buzz. When they reset him.
Oh, gotcha.
And he was the security guard or whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, they did a lot of references to other movies in that, but the way they did such a good job with his character, because even though he was a different character, he still had elements in them. Like when he's talking to Jesse and he's like, whatever, I'm not going to listen to you. Get away from me, temptress. I'm immune to your temptress ways or whatever like that, to where no matter how he was, he still had elements of his personality showing through. I think it's as opposed to just being one-sided, that I feel like a lot of the characters were in the first one, which again, that it's because it was the first movie they were introducing all those characters. But overall story structure, and just the amount of characters they were able to handle, and every character has a payoff. At the very beginning, they just wanted to be played with again.
Yeah.
By Andy, they get that payoff at the end. The villain, I think, is the best villain in any of the Toy Stories.
Yeah. Well, the first one, they don't even really have. I mean, they have Sid.
Yeah, they have Sid, but it's more of like it's a journey film. So the villain in part one
is integral to the story. Like the main part of it.
I think Woody's probably the villain of the first story. He's the one that causes all that shit to happen in the first place.
He does. But they pay it off because he realizes that he was just acting out of jealousy.
Eventually.
And Buzz is not, but that payoff is good. They set that up very well.
But I'm trying to remember when they became friends, because Woody's trying to get back to Andy's house. They're in Sid's room and he's still lying to everybody else.
Yeah, Buzz is still here.
Yeah. And, hey, but
he's fine.
He's fine, guys. Yeah, there.
Put it there, buddy. Aw.
Yeah. And to where I feel like that whole movie, he's saving Buzz just so that way he can be accepted back in with his friends. It's not because he learned something. I mean, he learned something toward the end. But I'm trying to remember the moment that happened, because after Buzz tried to fly, he broke his arm and he was sipping back Darjeeling and
with Marie Antoinette and her little sister. That's it's still good. He comes to the realization when Buzz is down in the dumps and he's like, what am I doing? I'm just a useless toy. I have no purpose right now. I'm not the commander that I thought I was with some mission. And then Woody's like, you are a cool toy. Your wings do that whoosh thing. What do I got? He's like, I got this pull string. Why would any ever want to play with me? And then even Woody's he's come to the realization he's not as great as he thought he was. And then Buzz sees Woody being down in the dumps and then tries to pick Woody up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah. I just don't buy it for Woody. Like, he's such a dick in that movie.
But then Sid takes Buzz, straps a rocket to him, and Woody makes that plan to save him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
then he's about to be pulled away from the dog, and he's like, take care of Andy for me. And he's about to let go, and then Buzz is like, no. Dives after him.
Yeah.
Come on. At that point, they're friends. They recognize each other's
It's fine.
differences.
I still get goosebumps
It's
when they're
fine.
falling with style. They're like, we're not aiming for the truck.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
Come on.
I get it, but they're just such a dickhead to where he's so much better in part 3 and his character is more believable. And I think that sacrifice that he makes to where he was going to be able to stay with Andy probably for the rest of his life. And he chose not to do that. He'd rather be with his friends. And because he even said earlier in the movie, he's like, guys, now or Buzz says, staying together now is more important. And when Woody's like leaving the daycare center, he's like, no, guys, we got to go. He was going to put you in the attic. We can all stay together there. And to where I felt like Woody was more selfless in part 3. He was a better person, I guess, than what he was in part 1. One, I felt like he was very much a child, but
well, he's a child's toy.
Yeah. But overall, I mean, the movie, I think, like, what would you boil down? I guess the movie. What's the point of the movie for Toy Story 1?
The point of it,
or like, I guess, so for me, for part 3, the message of the movie, I guess.
Okay.
It's not about saying goodbye to your childhood, although that is what it is on the surface. But it's not about the daycare being handed off to Bonnie. It's being able to start a new chapter in your life, being able to let go, and to grow. I mean, I think that it's a better message than what. I mean, I guess
the first one
really didn't. I guess my mind have that when I think about it. I mean, it's more of a friendship story.
Yeah. Well, it's not about letting go and moving on to the next stage in your life. It's more about understanding who you are and coming to the realization that maybe you're not all you're cracked up to be. Whether that's, oh, I'm Andy's favorite toy, I'm hot shit, and everyone can lick my boots, or it's I'm a space ranger with this crazy mission, when maybe you're building that up a little too much in your head and you need to come to face facts with how reality really is, and then come to grips with it, accept it, and let the little things go, and just maybe that's not who you actually are, but the world in your situation is still pretty good.
Yeah. Understanding what you have, the position in your life and where you fit into the world.
And then understanding that what you do have it's still pretty great. You don't need to be Andy's favorite toy to have a good life, or you don't need to be a space ranger to have a great life.
Yeah.
Just you can have friendship, get along with each other. You could have, great friendships and have a great life, and you don't need to be above anybody else to feel special.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. And it's funnier.
Yeah, part 3 is still better.
No, it's not. But no, I like the ending more in part 3 than I do in the first one, because it's just fantastic. And maybe that's because, I'm a father now, and maybe it wouldn't hit me as much as if I saw it when I was 13 or 12. But I saw it, especially now when you see it, you know how little kids are now, and they play, and then you've gone to college and you learn to let go of the childish things in your life, and you move on to the next chapter. So it kind of hits it a little bit more than if you were, 12 or 13. Yeah.
And well, part 3, I think they targeted, I think, mainly older teens.
Oh yeah.
With this
people
movie,
that saw the first one.
just because they were at that age, going to college and everything.
Those evil geniuses at Pixar, they know who their audience is.
Yeah. And exactly. A perfect example of knowing who your audience is and catering the story to that.
Yeah.
It's
like they thought it through or something.
But yeah, the ending is the third. I mean, they give every toy a send off.
Yeah.
Like Andy picks up each one, reintroduces them. And
I think that's a good argument for why it was so good, is because they waited so long to make it. Because the sequel was 4 years after the first one, and then the third one was 11 years after the second one.
Which they were going to make a third one before 2010. They couldn't, because Disney wouldn't let them. Because Disney, I think, had a hand in some of I don't think there might have been an ownership issue is because distribution. I think they had the distribution rights for Toy Story, to where they were able to say, Pixar, you cannot make another Toy Story movie, or we can block that from happening. And they blocked it until they acquired them, I think in 2006. And then they said, okay, now you can make another Toy Story movie. So that's why it kind of took so long, because I think originally they were going to want to make it in the early 2000s.
Maybe that was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, a happy accident. It's I think something that would have, the third one I don't think would have been as good. And maybe it would have been the same story, and they would have just time jumped, and Andy's still going off to college.
Could be.
But I don't know how the third one would have looked if it was made earlier.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the story though was probably already set in place, because the story feels really polished and really well done.
Maybe that's a lesson, especially from Top Gun Maverick. Why don't you just wait 30 years before you make another like sequel to and let it breathe a little bit, flesh out the story, make something really good.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait 30 years, but
well, no, wait 30 years and it could be Rooster's daughter.
Oh, there you go.
Her call sign could be Egg.
Egg?
I don't know.
Cracked egg?
Rooster, goose.
Scrambled egg.
Hard boiled.
Oh.
Over easy.
Yes.
Oh. Runny in the middle.
Oh, yeah. Sunny side up.
But
Eggs Benedict.
But I don't know. I don't know. I just think Toy Story 3 is a better story. The villain is a perfect antithesis of what the characters would end up turning into if they didn't move on.
I would disagree that it's a better story. It's more emotional for sure. And it's like you said, it's because the first and the second one set up the characters for the payoff. But the first one, the story is just so simple. And in order for it to it is so simple. So in order for it to be any good and funny, like the jokes and the situations have to hit like one after. It's only like an hour and 20 minutes long. And if it wasn't funny and the situations they were in, like going to Pizza Planet and then going to Sid's house and then the Buzz kind of meandering around Andy's room for like 15 minutes and, Woody making fun of him for thinking he's an actual space ranger. If those weren't funny, it would just be like I don't know, kind of just a boring, typical, I don't know, meandering.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's not a good movie. I think it's a simpler movie.
It is.
Which doesn't make it worse because it's a simpler movie, but
I think they were constrained too with the animation. I think.
Absolutely. I mean, they were constrained, I'm sure, by budget, by technology, and because I think the opening for part 3 with that was meant for part 1, but they had to cut it.
Right.
They had to. So some of the things they couldn't do because of those constraints. But I mean, I guess in the sense of a more classic story, yeah, everyone recognizes the Toy Story story. But I think let me just change it slightly. The writing, I think, is a lot better in part 3 as far as being able to take all those points and bring it down to a cohesive ending. Because I think that is extremely difficult because they meant for that to be the last one. And for them to be able to bring it to a satisfying ending, I don't think they could have done that in the early 2000s.
No.
Maybe
it wouldn't have hit as hard.
It wouldn't have hit as hard, but
maybe it's a question of what you prefer. Because you're right. I mean, the writing is great in the third one. It is. But see, like I said, we're grasping at hairs here.
I know it's tough. It's like, yeah.
But it's not what. Yeah. Which one's better? It's like to each his own. I mean, what would I rather watch? I mean, I'd probably rather watch the first one again. But that doesn't mean the third one's bad. And maybe, I don't know, further on down the road, maybe I'd want to watch the third one over the first one. As of right now, it's the first one.
No, you're wrong.
Okay,
You're wrong.
well.
You don't want to watch the first one.
It's because I want to laugh. I don't want to cry at the end of any movie. All right, especially an animated kids movie.
I didn't cry. I didn't cry once.
I was a man. I was hoping they all died in that incinerator. Good. That's a lesson every kid should learn. Sometimes things you love just die.
I think the next time we face off two movies, we shouldn't face off two obvious movies. We got to find something with far enough something
that is
that can be argued.
Not so obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is part 3 being the best one? Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to think of something that's
because I'm not even interested in talking about like which one's better, Empire or A New Hope. Like, all right, what are we going to talk about?
Yeah,
they're both great.
Empire's better made, but New Hope's a better standalone movie.
Yeah, or
which Empire isn't really.
Which one do you like? Which one's better, The Godfather or Godfather? Like they're both great. They're both good. It's like which one do you prefer?
Yeah,
you can make an argument of.
Maybe we should do best Pixar movie or best James Bond movie or
there something. You go. Something with more
variety.
Yeah. Like which one's the best Lord of the Rings? It's like to me that's one movie. It's not even like it's just one long movie.
It's one story.
Yeah.
And it's dictated by books.
I like that. Like the best like Daniel Craig Bond movie. We don't have to do all the Bonds. You could like, what's your best Daniel Craig movie?
Oh, it's fucking Casino Royale. That's not even a contest.
Shit. It's true. Wait, you did? I haven't seen No Time to Die. Is that one?
It's decent, but it's sure shit not better than Casino Royale.
I know, that one is pretty fucking good. Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. You could. Which the best Bond movie? Like Goldeneye is my favorite Pierce Brosnan one, or Casino Royale, or Goldfinger.
Okay, now we're just naming off obvious things.
I know.
We need to have better.
We'll think about it.
More differing opinions on something. What's a movie you're very passionate about that I think is dog shit?
Oh, Shawshank. You don't like that one at all.
What's the best movie out of 1994?
There you go. That's a good one. It's a great year.
You picked Shawshank?
Yeah. It's my favorite movie of all time. So, I mean that year is unbelievable.
No, because you have Forrest Gump. You also have
Pulp Fiction. Well, we could argue what's the best year of movies.
Yeah, we could do that.
We could do that one. It's the best year.
You got 82, you got 99, you got 94, you got 2008, you got
2008's a good year. Yeah. 93. That's not a good year. Man, 90s are. Of course, I grew up in that era.
Well, yeah. I mean, everything is like.
Yeah. Or 77. It's another good year. Taxi Driver and Part 2 came out.
Annie Hall.
Yeah, Annie Hall. Yeah. Annie Hall, best picture. Give me a fucking break.
It is funny.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
It was pretty good. I don't know if it's best picture.
It's pretty good.
But
it's pretty good. Revolutionized cinema. We could do that. We could pick a year. What's the best year?
Yeah, we can do that.
And that way we wouldn't even know what we're talking about or what we're anticipating.
It's true. But I could just shit on the movies that came out that year that you talk about.
What's more interesting, the worst year of film or the best year of film?
What would be the worst year of film?
Oh my
2020.
2020. That's what I was just thinking. 2020, hands down.
Yeah.
That's because nothing came out. So
I don't know. You guys listening, what
give us some ideas.
What should we argue about?
Yeah.
Give us or just throw out two movies that we got to defend. They could be two dog shit films that we got to defend.
Oh. Shout out to Cooper. He recommended that we watch Coherence. I've never heard of this movie. Came out in 2013 and it's on Amazon. Coherence.
Who's in it? Anybody? Just
never heard of anybody in it.
Small film.
He said it's a mind fuck.
Oh.
Coherence. I'll probably watch it. I don't know if we need to talk about it, but I'm gonna watch it.
What you said? Prime.
It's called Coherence. I don't know.
Okay. Maybe. If I have time.
If I have time, just watch Obi-Wan.
Jesus.
6 episodes of Obi-Wan.
I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But next time we're going to talk about Love and Thunder.
No.
Oh,
Absolutely
crap.
not. Because it doesn't come out until the 7th.
That's right.
Head out of your ass.
Stranger Things. I'm an idiot. Sorry.
An idiot. God damn. All right. Yeah. Join us next week as we talk about Stranger Things. We'll be talking season 4, both volume 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be talking about that. Did you agree with our thing on Toy Story? What was your what's your favorite Toy Story?
Let us know. First one, right?
It's the first one. Third one. Guy, if we get any emails or comments about the second or the fourth one, we're kicking you off the website.
Yeah.
No one. That's no one's favorite.
Yes.
No one. My oldest loved the fourth one.
Yeah.
Over and over until she watched the third one.
Really?
Yeah.
Or you made her watch the third one.
Tomato.
You forced her.
In my house.
Third
one. Only the third one.
Only quality movies are seen in my house. What happened
in part 1 and part 2 doesn't fucking matter, is what I tell her every day. Doesn't matter what happened. The third one is the only thing that you need to worry about.
Yeah. You're a great father.
Father of the year. Father of the year. No Toy Story 1 or 2 or 4 in my house.
Yes.
But yeah, join us next week. We'll talk about Stranger Things season 4. Comment on our episodes at acastwithnoname.com or shoot us an email at contact.acastwithnoname@gmail.com. Email is also found on our website, acastwithnoname.com. Let us know what you thought about the slight disagreement. God, there was like two toddlers fighting.
What did we disagree on more? Wait, I feel like we disagreed more on Lightyear.
Yeah, that was probably, we should have. Should we go into politics? That reminds me. Last Friday was a monumentous event that happened.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't get talked enough about.
We'll talk about
everything.
Roe v. Wade when, we're never going to talk about that.
No, I don't want to talk about politics because, sometimes you can't help it because it's injected in everything now.
No, it's fine.
No, it's not.
You can just, you know what? Just hate people, hate love. I'll stand up for love. I'll be the one to stand up for love, and you can keep pushing it out of films and entertainment. So, not a big deal. No, but that'll be
it's a very brave position, Jay.
That'll be the dichotomy. I stand up for love. That's what I do. I try and be a good person like that. Set an example.
I stand up for love and just shit takes on Toy Story.
Hey. It happens. It's all right. So, but yeah, next week, Stranger Things. I'm looking forward to it.
I am too. Sneak preview. I enjoyed season 4 so far. So hopefully they finish it off pretty good.
Yeah.
How do you think they're gonna prediction?
Fuck if I know.
What do you think?
A buddy of mine actually brought this up, and I kind of think it might be the thing. Because I think season 5 is going to be the last season.
It's supposed to be.
And to where...
I heard it said in the 90s, by the way. That leaked.
Really?
Yes.
Well, it makes sense because all the kids are probably in their 20s by the time it gets made.
50, yeah.
Yeah. It'll be like It Chapter 2, but they're all old as fuck.
Yes.
.com bubble burst and they're half homeless.
Yeah. They're all searching on Ask Jeeves.
As far as in Dogpile, as far as a villain, a buddy of mine had a theory that you ever play Contra?
Oh yeah.
And you had like Mother Brain.
Yes. Yeah.
He thinks it might be that kind of character. He even looked up in the Dungeons and Dragons lore to see if there was a character like that.
God.
To where there's like the Mother Brain, but which I think they kind of did with the Mind Flayer a little bit. That was kind of like the hive mind.
Yeah.
But the Mother Brain would be, I guess,
controlling the Mind Flayer?
Something. Or it would be the thing that gave birth to the Mind Flayer or something like that.
Okay.
To where maybe that's the final something or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they've done a very good job as far as kind of going in different directions, especially with this season. I kind of tooting my own horn. I thought Vecna was I think I guessed that Vecna was number 1,
You did.
but Christy guessed that the orderly that was helping 11 was number 1. And I was like, I think Vecna is number 1, but I was like, that doesn't make sense because the first attack of Vecna was way back when, and then I was like, oh, it's probably not it. We were both right, in a sense, but yeah, I think it was like the second episode because they referenced 1 and they never showed 1, and I was like, I wonder if Vecna is 1.
There you go. I thought Vecna was Billy, so
Yeah.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
It was a big pile of wrong.
So what do you think it might happen at the?
Yeah, because I'm wondering if did 11 create the Upside Down because she kind of expelled Vecna into the Upside Down? I don't know.
I don't think she created it. I got the sense that she just opened up the dimension.
Right.
Not that she created it. She just created a portal.
Yeah. And I think that's
Or
good.
gateway.
That's good storytelling because I never understood why the Upside Down wants to consume the Earth or how it was aware of just the Earth. Or what's motivating? Why does the Upside Down want to? What's the point of it wanting to consume the Earth for whatever reason? What is it? Just because it wants doom and gloom everywhere? And I think they're trying to answer that question by injecting Vecna because Vecna is kind of part of the Earth realm or whatever. He has memory of Earth and all that stuff. So maybe there's something to that hive mind idea, the mother brain or whatever. Oh,
so like maybe Vecna kind of created that urge to want to take over.
Yes, something. There has to be some sort of motive. Why do you want to do? Is it just pure evil? That's not really interesting. So maybe they're trying to connect the dots there with some sort of motivation of why the Upside Down wants to consume Earth.
But does it want to consume Earth?
It wants to control Earth by making it sort of the Upside. That's what I got out of season 3. And then Mind Flayer is trying to possess Billy or rats or whatever, and then.
Oh, I just read that. I kind of interpreted that as just like a virus.
Yeah.
Wanting to replicate and like just a sense of being, like, so similar to.
Okay. See, that's boring to me.
Yeah. So that's the way I kind of looked at it, and not that the Upside Down wants to. I look at the Upside Down as just another dimension.
Yeah.
Like just a parallel universe, same place, but just different. And with Billy's thing, just as far as a virus,
yeah, well,
wanting a sense to be,
yes,
and that's what that organism does,
right? And I don't like that. That's just boring.
Boring.
I want some sort of motivation.
Wrapped up in a bow.
I want some sort of motivation. Something.
Yeah. Well, you might get it with Vecna.
Yeah,
which would
great character, by the way. Awesome.
Yeah, I think that guy is a pretty good actor.
Yeah, I knew something was because that actor always plays like sinister, sketchy. Like
I haven't noticed him in anything. Of course,
he's been on like some like I can't remember what the BBC show I saw with him in it. He played like the evil character, and not evil, just the bad antagonist character.
Got you.
He was in Harry Potter. He played young Grindelwald. And like the very
when he like hops out
flashbacks.
the window.
Yes, that's him.
Nope.
So I'm like thinking Grindelwald. I'm like, okay, he's something sneaky, but I didn't think he was one. So they kind of got me around that corner, or they surprised me with that.
Got you. Yeah.
But I don't know. It's only 2 episodes left, so we'll see where they go.
4 hours.
I know.
Sweet run time.
I know it's gonna be good.
2-hour episodes.
That's right.
Be interesting. Yeah, I'm waiting for it. We finished it when we came back from our trip, and it's been a long 10 days.
Yeah, well, you're back.
Friday can't get here soon enough.
Yeah, sit on your ass and just enjoy it.
Eat cheese puffs and
ooh, it's my kind of time.
Operation Fat. But cool. We will talk about Stranger Things season 4. Probably some other stuff too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So cool. Well.
Right.
If everyone's still listening to this and you haven't turned it off by now, thank you for listening.
Thank you so much.
Comment on episodes. Thank you again, Mark S., for
thank you, Mark,
adding to a conversation or starting a conversation.
Yes.
But yeah, if you guys want to berate Matthew on his choice of preferable Toy Story movie, please feel free. Comment in the episodes. Cast with no name. If you disagree with Toy Story 3, eat shit. Just saying. Just joking. Just joking.